Welcome in to a Wednesday night, December the 3rd, National Signing Day. How about that? National Signing Day. And for a lot of us growing up, National Signing Day was a huge day. It was the first Wednesday of February. And that was a huge day. You would take the day off. You would take the whole day off. Your boss, you magically got sick. Work production across, especially the Southeast, dropped exponentially and people would wait to see what their football program was going to produce. What was the baby that was going to be had? What were the recruits that were going to come in and enhance your football team? And that was a special time, a special place. Gosh, to think back, that was about 10 years ago. And now it's all changed and evolved. We now have two signing days. We've moved the first one all around. It's gone from middle of December to now the first day of December, or excuse me, the first Wednesday of December. So we've got all kinds of things kind of going on with National Signing Day, the NCAA, college football, all trying to figure out how to incorporate it into the college football schedule with the playoffs, with the transfer portal, with everything going on. And so here we are. Here we are. It wasn't that big of a day as compared to previous years. So with all that in mind, let's do a little South Carolina Gamecock recap. I realized it as I hit live and we started doing this, and I'm wearing North Carolina baby blue, and I apologize. But they make my eyes look great. My eyes, you maybe can't tell in the video, but if you were here, if we were having a crowd, um, you would be impressed. So I've got that going for me. But I apologize for the doing a South Carolina video in North Carolina baby blue. It again, it's a good color on me, but neither here nor there. Let's get to the actual content of what today was about. South Carolina signs a small class. 24/7 Sports composite rankings ranks it the 23rd best class in the country, 14 commitments. 24/7 Sports themselves rank it at number 21. Listen, don't be concerned about the size of the class. That is absolutely irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. This day and age, the transfer portal is what matters. And South Carolina, we know where Shane Beamer stands. Many of you on Twitter or whatever social media medium you like to use have expressed frustration. We know going into 2026 that Shane Beamer's on the hot seat. There are only so many high school prospects who can come in and produce right away. So if you have been out of the loop, if you're unaware to today's signing day and you're like, wow, what's going on? And you look at it and go, man, we only got 14 prospects. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter quite as much as it used to. These aren't the days of signing 25 kids and allowing kids to develop over 3 or 4 years. With the transfer portal, with the way kids want NIL money, the time becomes now. The time becomes simply now. And I'll give you the kid who I think is going to step in, the young man who's going to step in immediately in 2026 and be a starter in just a second. But South Carolina's got to fill their needs to get back to where y'all want them, where I want them, where we want them. South Carolina has to fill their needs through the transfer portal by landing good prospects that can make an immediate impact right away. And so, with that in mind, you've got to hit the transfer portal. Only so many recruits can the Gamecocks land that can come in and be ready to play SEC ball next year. I'm going to remove this behind me before it catches on fire, and then we got a real video. By the way, how you like the fireplace? Looks good. You got to get a new wreath up or stockings for Christmas. Anyway, you got to get prospects, you got to get players in that can produce in 2026. And there's only so many high school prospects that can come in to South Carolina next year and be a huge part of a 4-8 turnaround to say 8-4. So I have no problem with the class. I think you bring in guys who are either super ready to help or you bring in guys who have an understanding, hey, I'm probably going to redshirt next year, or my snaps are going to be limited. Maybe they think they can come in and play, but they are under the impression that their time is a little bit away, and they're willing to deal with that. They're willing to deal with that, and I think you also are trying to figure out, hey, how much money do we want to pay this guy in NIL against going to the transfer portal and landing a player who's been in college for 3 years or 4 years and is ready to contribute right away. So don't fret about the number of players in this transfer class. That's not where the concern would be. Let's start with what I think is the best player in the class. Not the most highly rated, but the player that I expect to start next year, the player that I think will have the biggest impact in 2026, and that is going to be safety Jazavion Currents, 6'3", 205 pounds, safety out of South Point High School, football hotbed of Rock Hill. This was one of the earliest commitments. Obviously, you heard me just give the numbers. Big fella, 6'3", 205, highly sought after. Is actually the second highest ranked player in this class. And I say he's the most likely to make the impact because A, he's enrolling in January. He's a top 100 prospect and he's enrolling in January. B, you look at that secondary, and the fact that he's enrolling in January allows him to come in and compete immediately for playing time. As a matter of fact, if you were to ask me on physical size alone, I'd love to see Jazavion Currents and Kendall Daniels, a freshman from last year who played a little bit, number 5, if you ever saw him on the field. Those two guys out there together. I'm sure Peyton Williams will factor in there some, as well as a few other guys. Maybe go get a guy in the portal. But Jazavion Currents comes in, to me, is the player most ready to make an impact because it is very possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's only December 3rd, but it is very possible that we're talking about replacing 4 out of your 5 secondary players. I'm not saying they're ready to go pro, but you have to acknowledge that Judge Collier, Brandon Cisse, and Jalen Kilgore, somebody could get into their ear. They may read a mock draft somewhere. They believe they're ready to go pro. Maybe they're just tired of college, and off they go. Now you're replacing those 3 guys, and on top of that, DQ Smith. Don't say ever, but DQ Smith should be out of eligibility at this point. And that would mean 4 out of your 5 secondary guys. Now, you should have some guys lined up behind them. Bakari Swain, obviously, being one of them. Maybe a Jaluba Solomon, somebody like that is ready to step in and take over. But the bottom line here is that Jazavion Currents is my pick as the player most likely to come in and make an immediate impact in 2026. The position he plays, he is a talented player again. So he comes in ready in that spot. Highest rated player in the class does go to 5-star offensive lineman Darius Gray. South Carolina holds on to him. They beat out LSU, Tennessee, Penn State, Clemson, a whole bunch of schools, considered a top 20 overall prospect. Darius Gray. Now, the question is how quickly can an offensive lineman come in and make an impact? Obviously, Shed Surratt from Gaffney enrolled early last year and started game. I don't know if he started game 1 or if he was injured. I do know that he would play a lot during the season and would eventually end up at right tackle. So it's not unheard of for a freshman to come in and play at that position. But there's so many questions. There's so many questions that arise with the offensive line. Who is the coach? Is it going to be Sean Elliott? Can you get these guys to produce? Let's be honest, for 5 years and even longer, these guys simply have not produced. What does your offensive line even look like? What do you go to the transfer portal and pull? Darius Gray would give something that I would give South Carolina something that I think has never happened before, and that would be to have 2 5-star prospects on the line at the same time, and former 5-star prospect Josiah Thompson, who did not have a good year, and 5-star prospect and now enrollee or signee Darius Gray. But again, so many questions with him, not his talent, but when can he develop? He can play multiple positions, center, guard, tackle. That's another question. Where do you want to put him? Where do you want to train him? What do you want to do with him? They'll have to make those decisions and fit him into the offensive line. South Carolina also lands a 4-star offensive lineman out of the state of South Carolina that I really like, Zion Giles. And this is another kid that you would be really excited about, but we have to see actual production from the offensive line. Giles ends up being, depends on where you look at the rankings. I think On3 or ESPN has him as a top 50 player. 24/7 Sports has him as a top 150 player, I believe. You know, these rankings are all different. But the truth of the matter is you land Zion Giles to go along with Darius Gray. And even though that's only 2 guys and you'll go hit the transfer portal, that's a very nice addition to your offensive line. Anthony Baxter, a big fella, a little bit lower recruited, and will need some, I assume, need some time to develop out of South Point High School, is your 3rd offensive line commitment there. But really, really like what you've got as far as it pertains to landing Darius Gray, your top recruit in the class, and Zion Giles. Defensive line, the next two prospects in the class are Noah Clark and Aiden Harris. Now, Noah Clark's an interesting story. He is now a top 150 prospect. He is a big defensive tackle. 24/7 Sports has him listed at 6'4", 345 pounds. Let me tell you, I have done recruiting in my life. I have been to the schools and done the interviews and done all this stuff. Those numbers are always wild to see pop up when they're in high school against what they are when they arrive in college. I think it was Xavier McLeod a couple of years ago was 6'5", 325 on the recruiting rankings, and magically got to South Carolina and shrunk 2 inches and weighed roughly, I believe it was 45 pounds less. He was on the South Carolina roster in his very limited time at 6'3", 280. And again, Xavier McLeod was a 4-star prospect who's now at Georgia, was 6'5", 325. So what is Noah Clark really? I don't know. And odds are nobody knows except him and his coach up in Raleigh, where he is from. South Carolina beats out North Carolina State for him, by the way. But that's a very good pickup. But he probably needs a year of development. Maybe he can give you some snaps. You got the 4-game redshirt rule. Maybe he can come in and learn during January. But again, very good pickup. The other young man is almost the complete opposite of Noah Clark. Noah Clark 6'4", 345 and is an interior guy. We don't know what he weighs. The other guy, Aiden Harris, was a top 100 prospect, dropped out of the top 100 there at the very end. Aiden Harris is listed at 6'3", 245, and as I said, is considered an interior prospect. You can't play on the interior at 245. That's not going to – you can't constantly play on the interior. I've heard he's up closer to 280. I don't know. Recruit these people. I'm 43. I'm not getting back in the game on that one. But 2 very good defensive linemen. Again, small class, but quality players in Jazavion Currents, Darius Gray, Zion Giles, and I'll talk about the 2 defensive linemen in Noah Clark and Aiden Harris. And I think those are really, really good pickups for South Carolina. The thing is, defensive line, you got to be a true stud to come in and make an impact early. Maybe Clark and Harris are. Maybe they can come in and, get in there right away. South Carolina's going to have some spots. I do think it's imperative that you hold on to Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy if he even considers transferring. I think that's vital to hold on to him. As we start to wrap this up, don't want to make these videos too long on you here. I want you to be able to watch, absorb some knowledge, enjoy the fire. My 2 surprises of the class. 2 surprises. Now, as of right now, Landon Duckworth is not signed. When I came on air, if you will, I checked. There's rumors of him flipping to LSU. If he does, he does. Losing a quarterback now, unless they're absolutely elite, losing Jared Curtis from Georgia to Vanderbilt, that stings. Jared Curtis is supposed to be the next all-pro, all-world. Name your quarterback: Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. And he will now go play at Vanderbilt. And we believe Diego Pavia is finally out of eligible. We think this kid could go back to court. I don't know what's going to happen with him, but we assume Jared Curtis is set to take over for him. But that's a loss. If you lose Landon Duckworth, you go to the transfer portal. You find a guy who's got college experience. To be quite honest, Landon Duckworth's not going to be ready to help South Carolina get to 8 wins in 2026. Maybe he could. Never say never, right? Like I've said, I've learned in life, never say never. Maybe Landon Duckworth could. We're seeing freshman quarterbacks come in. I just don't see it. You'd rather have Lenore Sellers back. Cutter Woods has been in the program for a year, and there's the transfer portal. You'd love to have. Now, Landon Duckworth is a very good player. Let me be clear about this. He is a loss from the standpoint of you want a guy of that caliber talent developing in your system. If Landon Duckworth goes to LSU, we don't just go, oh, they paid him the bag, or, we didn't want him anyway. Oh, no. You want him. I do question whether he wants South Carolina. He's already decommitted once. He's flirted with LSU another time. This kid seems to constantly be looking to go to any other school but South Carolina, and if that's what happens. Gamecocks, at least as I see here, are also waiting on Carson Baker, running back, was originally committed to Florida. That would be a massive pickup. They need an SEC running back. For whatever reason, the Gamecocks cannot recruit running backs. This would be huge. 6'1", 210, 215. He'll add bulk. He's the kind of running back you got to have in the SEC. Some rumors tonight, Texas A&M now is heavily involved. He'll make a decision at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. He was on an official visit to South Carolina this past weekend against Clemson. A lot of people thought South Carolina was in a great position coming out of that visit. Now there's rumors that that might not be the case. We'll get an answer at 10 a.m. on Thursday morning. And finally, Julian Walker, defensive end from Dutch Fork High School. We are waiting on him and his decision again. As I sit here and film this, it is 6:50 on a Wednesday night. Unless something has happened in the last 15 minutes, Julian Walker is down to now South Carolina, Michigan, and we are being told now by Anna Adams of 24/7 Sports, North Carolina, no correlation to these colors, is very much in the mix. Julian Walker has been committed to Michigan. His father obviously is on the strength and conditioning staff at the University of South Carolina, has been there. That is the tie-in with the Gamecocks. He has been to multiple Gamecock games this season. And I'll be honest, if you were to ask me of Duckworth, Baker, and Walker, who's the most important to land, it would be Walker. You've got to get another elite edge rusher. He's a defensive end, 6'6", 250 range. Been a stud at Dutch Fork. Give a lot of credit to Preston Thorne. Preston Thorne saw him last year in the state championship against Somerville, and Walker absolutely took over. And this is the kind of game changer the Gamecocks need to add to put on the opposite side of Dylan Stewart, even if it's for 1 year, and then have a replacement for Dylan Stewart moving forward in the future. I do not expect him to sign with South Carolina. That's my personal prediction. That is none of Big Spur or Gamecock Central or any other affiliation that I have with my job titles. It feels like North Carolina is kind of a cop out of not having to go so far from home, away from mom and dad, not go to South Carolina, but go to North Carolina. It's my opinion. It's how I come across. Final piece here on the South Carolina 2026 recruiting class, 2025 today, but it's actually the 2026 class. Who are the two underrated players? I love the secondary here. I really love what Torian Gray has done, and I think it's going to be imperative Shane Beamer's staff find a way to keep him from going to Virginia Tech to be a part of James Franklin's staff. But Kosi Barnes, I think I'm mispronouncing that. I heard Shane say it today, and I believe I'm still mispronouncing it. But a long DB, 6'3", 195 out of Grimsley High School in North Carolina. This is a guy who has shot up the recruiting rankings. I believe now he's definitely a top 200 player. He might be a top 150 player. Again, I mentioned 6'3". He's a defensive cornerback. This is a kid maybe needs a year, maybe two at max to really develop it. I think this is a kid that you get into the system, and boy, do you turn him loose and you find out what he's capable of doing. And for all I know, again, if you're having to replace all those guys in the secondary, Kosi Barnes, very possible a guy that we could be looking at talking about in August as a potential starter. So he's signed. He's on the books. He's coming to South Carolina. That is one of my sleepers. The second one is kind of an athlete, could be a safety, could be a linebacker, probably not a defensive back. Tristan Lewis out of Greenwood High School in South Carolina. This kid's wildly underrated, I think. Basketball player, baseball player, actually is a pitcher. I believe throws in the lower 90s, the upper 80s, is an all-around athlete. Did everything for Greenwood High School, played quarterback, served water, played safety, sometimes did the chain gang. He did it all. He is a football player. And quite frankly, you take a guy from Greenwood, normally you're getting a dude that has a tude, right? You're getting an attitude, a dude with a tude. One of the last guys South Carolina got from there, some dude named DJ Swearinger, dude with tude. And Tristan Lewis, by all accounts, by the way, looks like a super nice, friendly young man. But this is a guy that I love. Great size, 6'4", 215. He's built. He's built. Doesn't play like, I'm not comparing him to, I'm just comparing his build to Nick Eamon-Warry. Not saying he's Nick Eamon-Warry. I'm saying he's built like Nick Eamon-Warry. And he also runs kind of like Nick Eamon-Warry. So my two sleepers of the class, the guys that we look back on in 3 or 4 years, is like, wow, we didn't talk about those guys quite as much are going to be Kosi Barnes and Tristan Lewis. And now there's a video to hold me accountable for all of that. So a little bit of real talk, Gamecock signing day recap. It is the 2026 class. We are currently in the year 2025. You can do the math on that. Gamecocks are waiting to see if Landon Duckworth, who is still considered a commitment, will sign with the Gamecocks or will flip to LSU. We're waiting on an announcement at 10 a.m. in the morning from Carson Baker, running back out of the state of Georgia, who has been committed to Florida all year. And we await official word from Jillian Walker. But again, I'll repeat, it's 6:54 p.m. as I look at my clock right now. So I could be wrapping this up and news, all hell could have broken loose. But the good news is this beautiful sweatshirt did not catch fire. That is good news. I like this. It makes my eyes look great. All right, there's your signing day recap on the Gamecock signing day class. Many more videos, real talk, South Carolina football. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check me out on Twitter at Will, W-I-L, Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R. You see the name right there. There's an Instagram page, Will, W-I-L, Gunter, G. You get the point. That's the easy way to do it. Subscribe, like, add, do all those things that you do, and feel free to comment. Some motivational videos coming tonight. I got a big one that I want to do on fulfillment. So a lot to do. It's early in the evening. Thanksgiving wreath still up, got to fix that. And to my right is a Christmas tree that is unlit and undecorated. It's okay. It's my fault. It's my fault. Get that fixed. Look forward to catching up with you again. A lot to do. I'll also have a video up later, probably tomorrow morning, on more discussion on the South Carolina offensive coordinator search. A new name emerging today. And I'll tell you all about that here in just a little while. Have a great evening and look forward to talking to you again soon.